How to Spot a Flying Monkey. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Family Roles series inside School of Soul. In today's video, we're unpacking a critical role in the narcissistic family system, the flying monkey. More specifically, we're focusing on how to identify one in real time, because flying monkeys aren't always obvious. In fact, many of them show up smiling, concerned, and claiming they just want to help. But the effect they have on your boundaries, your truth, your emotional safety is almost always the same. They carry out the will of the narcissist while pretending to be neutral. So let's start with a clear reminder. Flying monkeys are not always malicious. Many are misinformed. Some are trauma-bonded. Some believe they're protecting the family. Others are simply afraid of becoming the next target. But good intentions don't erase the damage caused by their behavior. You are still allowed to protect yourself from people who act as emotional enforcers, whether they realize it or not. The first way to spot a flying monkey is to notice who keeps delivering emotionally loaded messages between you and the narcissist. This doesn't always sound hostile. Sometimes it sounds gentle, even empathetic. She's just really hurt. He asked me to check on you. They miss you so much. But you didn't ask for an update, and you didn't consent to a conversation. These messages are often dropped into your space to create emotional pressure and lower your defenses. It's a classic triangulation tactic. Instead of the narcissist speaking to you directly, someone else is sent in to test your vulnerability and influence your next move. Flying monkeys often act like messengers, but they rarely deliver neutral information. The content is almost always selective. It's meant to reframe the narcissist as a victim and reframe you as someone who's being unfair, cold, or cruel for protecting your energy. They're not just bringing news, they're pushing a narrative. Another key behavior is that flying monkeys defend the narcissist's story no matter what evidence exists. They could be shown direct proof texts, recordings, patterns of behavior, and still say, that's just how she is. Or, you have to understand where he's coming from. They're not looking for facts. They're protecting the emotional structure that keeps them comfortable. And in that structure, the narcissist is innocent. The scapegoat is the problem. And anything that challenges that dynamic feels threatening to their own sense of belonging. Flying monkeys are also easy to spot through the way they respond to your growth. If someone consistently discredits your decisions, doubts your boundaries, or downplays your progress, they may not be a supporter. They may be a proxy. They may be subtly carrying out the narcissist's fear of your independence. This can sound like, you're getting too extreme, or you've changed. Pay attention to the tone. It's not concern. It's control wearing a concerned mask. Many flying monkeys participate in the system by applying pressure not to the abuser, but to you. When someone tells you to reconcile, let it go, or reach out for the sake of family unity, they're not encouraging healing. They're encouraging compliance. And almost always, this pressure is placed on the scapegoat, the person who's stepping out of the dysfunctional role. It's never placed on the person who created the rupture. This is where you must be discerning. If someone only asks you to be the bigger person, but never asks the narcissist to be accountable, they're not supporting balance. They're trying to restore the illusion of harmony by having you absorb the discomfort of others. Flying monkeys also reframe abuse as love. This is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation. They might say things like, he just worries about you, or she's only like that because she cares so much. These statements don't honor your experience. They excuse toxic behavior. They train you to associate love with confusion and pain. And they teach you that expressing your needs makes you ungrateful or cruel. Another classic move, guilt tripping. When you start setting boundaries, going low contact, or speaking your truth, flying monkeys often arrive as the moral messengers. They say things like, she's still your mother, or we only have one family. This is meant to make you feel like your choice to protect yourself is a form of betrayal. But what they're really saying is, get back in line. Because your boundary disrupts the dynamic and they're here to restabilize it. Now let's look at the language. Flying monkeys tend to repeat certain phrases almost verbatim. If you hear these lines, pause and assess where they're coming from. They're really hurting, can't you just call them? This statement places responsibility for someone else's emotions on your shoulders. It ignores what led to the separation and implies that your silence is cruelty. She didn't mean it like that. This minimizes your experience and reframes the harm as a misunderstanding. It erases intent and centers the narcissist's comfort over your reality. We all think you're overreacting. This one's designed to isolate you. It suggests there's a group consensus against you, which can make you second-guess your instincts and return to the role of self-doubt. You're tearing this family apart. No, the family was already divided. You're just refusing to play your assigned part. This phrase is emotional blackmail designed to make you feel like the villain for refusing to tolerate dysfunction. You need to stop being so difficult. This is a way to shame you into submission. It turns your boundary into a flaw. It's not meant to open dialogue, it's meant to silence your voice. Once you hear these phrases enough times, you start to realize that flying monkeys don't actually want peace. They want performance. They want you to pretend everything is fine, so they don't have to change their perspective. And once you stop performing, they feel uncomfortable. That's not your problem. That's their programming. So what do you do when you spot a flying monkey? First, stop engaging as if they're neutral. Once you recognize the pattern, you don't owe them emotional access. You don't need to explain yourself, justify your decision, or entertain a one-sided version of peace. You are allowed to say, "This isn't a conversation I'm available for," or simply, "This isn't your place to mediate." Second, notice what happens when you name your boundary. A flying monkey will often escalate once their emotional influence is blocked. They may accuse you of being cold, selfish, or dramatic. This is projection. What they're really saying is, "You're disrupting the script I'm comfortable with." Third, hold your ground. Don't let repeated pressure trick you into believing you've made a mistake. When flying monkeys circle back again and again, it's not because your boundary was unclear. It's because they're hoping you'll get tired of enforcing it. Don't. Fourth, start documenting patterns. You don't need to build a legal case, but writing down the conversations and phrases you keep hearing helps you stay grounded in what's actually happening. When you see the repetition in writing, it becomes harder to fall back into the fog. Fifth, and most importantly, remove their influence where necessary. This doesn't always mean going no contact, but it does mean adjusting how much access they have to your mind, your time, and your emotions. Flying monkeys feed off proximity, so create distance. Give yourself permission to pull back. The key to spotting a flying monkey isn't just listening to their words. It's tracking their alignment. Do they respect your boundary? Do they ask about your perspective? Do they hold both sides accountable? Or are they repeating scripts that protect dysfunction and punish truth? Flying monkeys don't always enter your life with obvious warning signs. Sometimes they arrive with a soft voice, a gentle question, or a disguised concern. But once you learn the language, the pattern, and the energy, they become easy to identify. You stop confusing guilt for guidance. You stop mistaking manipulation for love. And you start making decisions that prioritize your peace instead of their comfort. You are not obligated to receive messages you never asked for. You are not required to defend yourself to people who refuse to hear you. And you are not responsible for holding a family system together that was never built on truth. The flying monkey may speak for the narcissist, but you don't have to listen. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.